This morning to the house of the Lord. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank God for strength, sound mind, breath of life, peace in the heart, peace in the soul. In Jesus' name. We're going to begin in the book of Matthew, chapter 14. Matthew 14 and 25. Matthew 14 and 25. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit." And they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid." You may be seated.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my God. Yes. Yes, my God.
Worship with us as we come to this wonderful presence of the Lord.
Call me out upon the water.
I want us to grab a couple of words out of these opening scriptures. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit." And they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid." So I'm sure you could pick out the two words that we want to circle, highlight, underline to start with this morning, but the word afraid and the word fear, or the word fear and the word afraid. Many times we throw these words around and they're kind of interchangeable, but there's some misinterpretations because the Bible talks about he that feareth is not made perfect in love, and then it says fear is the beginning of wisdom. But it's more the word afraid than it is fear. And in the Old Testament, that word fear and the word fear of the beginning of wisdom is a reverence to being able to see God, or that God has revealed to you, that you have a reverence. And it's interpreted as fear. And then we take the word afraid and we put the word fear, so it confuses us. Because it's like, should I have fear or not have fear? Well, we should have a reverence and understanding that God is in all places at all times. We should understand those things. But being afraid is something different. Walking in that power of fear of being afraid, and it is a power, and it is powerful. It's powerful. And the disciples experienced this. They see Jesus walking on the water, and it wasn't something they had experienced before, obviously. And it brought fear to them. They were afraid because Jesus said, "Be not afraid." But it is very powerful. So if we use the word fear in the form of being afraid, it is powerful. Worry is a form of fear. Being worried is a form of fear.
Yeah.
Being anxious is a form of fear. And fear births a lot of stuff that we don't realize it births. It gives birth to a lot of things that we don't realize that's where it comes from. And you heard me say this before, I'm going to say it again, because it's important for us to understand this and to be conscious of it. Because a lot of times we're not conscious of it. Pretty much everything we do, everything you do, everything I do, is either out of fear or it's out of love. It's out of one of those two things, other than habit. Some things we do out of habit. You breathe out of habit. You may brush your teeth out of habit. It may started out as fear because you got in trouble if you didn't, maybe, but it becomes a habit. There's a lot of things you do out of habit. But most things you're either going to do out of love or you're going to do out of fear. Now here's where the argument comes in. As long as it works, that's all that matters. No, that is not all that matters, as long as it works. Because again, if something is done out of love, it's going to burst certain things. And if something is done out of fear, it's going to burst certain things. Now, you may not agree with my next point, but if you look closely, it's hard to argue with. But most religions, let's call it religion, most religions are fear-based. You do this, Because if not, you get in this trouble, or you don't do this, right? You do this because you don't want to go to hell. You don't do this because you don't want to go to hell, or on and on and on. And it's fear. There's also the power that if you don't stay in the right line, you'll get shunned. You'll get marked. You'll get the scarlet letter. That's a form of fear. They may say, no, it's love, but no, it's a form of fear. And the reason people do that is because, in a sense, it works. In a sense, it works. Because it keeps people doing certain things. The opposite would be to do it out of love. The thing, though, when you do it out of love, love has to have maturity. You have to be a mature person to be able to respond to love.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where the danger comes, though. If you remove fear and there is not love there, that person will run wild and out of control. So for somebody that doesn't understand walking in love, they have to have fear or they'll run out of control. Do you follow that? Let me ask you, is a prison ran out of fear or is it ran out of love?
Fear.
It's ran out of fear, right? They can't run a prison out of love. They can't say, we're moving these fences and these barbed wires and these men standing in towers with guns that are going to shoot and kill you if you try and leave. We're just going to have a line called love. Would that work?
No.
No. So they have to have fear. A football team is not ran out of love. A football team is ran out of fear. The one that is notorious for it is the New England Patriots. If you don't stay in follow the game plan, they cut you, they trade you, they bench you. It's a given fact. And it's fear, it's not love. It's not, Bill Belichick's not going to say, hey, you need to do this because I love you. No. You do it or I cut you. And that's how most football teams are done in some form. It's a form of fear. Unfortunately, jobs are ran out of fear.
Yes, sir.
It's like if you don't do these things, you don't do your job, if you're not diligent, punctual, they might write you up or call you in, but eventually what do?
Fire.
They fire you, right? Now, do you walk in and say, where's the love? No, you take your walking papers. Do you look at them and say, you can't judge me? Or, God knows my heart? No. It's ran out of fear. Now, if you do what you're supposed to, then it should remove the fear. Should. Some people, they just carry it, and they're going to make life miserable with fear. And it's an uncomfortable place to be when you're around somebody like that.
Yes.
Even if everything's going good, it's not good enough in a way. They're going to bring fear to the table when they walk in. I'm sure everybody has worked with somebody that they walk in and they're very uncomfortable. It could be a good day and everything's going good. They can't keep it that way. They're going to have to make it fearful. So when you remove fear from an immature person and you try and introduce them to love, they'll just run out of control. And that's the evidence that we've embraced love, is that we're able to do the right thing because of love. Not because you're going to get in trouble, just because it's the right thing to do. You treat people right just because it's the right thing to do.
Amen.
Your word is your word just because it's the right thing to do. This is walking in love. Instead of doing it because you don't want to get in trouble or face the consequences of not doing the right thing. So there's a difference in that approach. There's a difference of approaching something because of love and approaching something because of fear. There's a difference. For me, my desire is that people worship the Lord because they love him.
Amen.
Not because they're afraid of him, but because they love him. People serve God because they love him.
Yes.
Yes.
You give because you love. That's my desire.
My God.
The other way, I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. I realize, though, that you may get a different result because there's maturity that has to take place in order for somebody to walk in love. They have to mature to that point. When Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I acted like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And what was he talking about? He was talking about maturity of love, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. He was talking about maturing into love. So, it's up to us as individuals to mature into that place.
My God.
But we have to mature to that place that we understand. I'm going to do the right thing because of love. Not because I'm going to get in trouble. But you should understand cause and effect. You should understand that. You should understand cause and effect. You should understand gravity. You should understand 2 + 2 is 4. It's something you should understand. Because it's to your benefit to understand that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But you should still say, I'm doing it because of love,
Yes.
not because of fear. The psalmist David, he didn't say, I feared when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. No. What did he say? I was glad.
I was glad.
Amen.
I was glad.
My God.
I was glad. You see the difference? Well, I have to go to church because I don't want to go to hell. As compared to saying, I was glad when they said unto me.
Come on.
Instead of walking in fear, that you walk in love, instead of walking and being afraid.
My God.
The question is this, though. Are we mature enough to walk in love and remove fear without running wild and out of control?
Lord Jesus.
That's the question. Will we know the answer? Yes, we will. We will know the answer because our actions it'll tell the answer. The answer will be told. I've heard someone say, if there was no hell, we wouldn't serve God. I disagree with that. Some people don't like this statement, but here's how I see it. If there was no heaven, if there was no hell, I would still serve God.
Come on.
My God. Amen.
Some of you may not make sense to you. Did I say there was no heaven? Did I say there was no hell?
No.
I said if there was no heaven or no hell, I would still serve God.
Come on.
Amen.
Amen.
Some people may say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Can't we serve God just because he's God?
Come on.
Not because we don't want to go to hell.
Come on.
And do the right thing because the right thing's the right thing to do. because we love and we're mature enough to understand that.
Bless you.
Now, you say, well, as long as it gets done. No, no, no. Because see, when there is fear that is leading, fear gives birth to a lot of what I'll call ugly things.
All right.
Fear gives birth to a lot of ugly things.
Yeah.
Fear gives birth to jealousy.
Uh-oh.
Fear gives birth to envy. Fear gives birth to hate. That's what fear gives birth to.
Yes, sir.
Love doesn't give birth to those things. If those things are present, it wasn't because love birthed it. Let me give you the gauge, the barometer where you can gauge it. Jealousy, hate, envy. You don't get it right here. You get it right here. That's why I'm not a big fan of my gut tells me. Because a lot of ugly things come from the gut.
Right.
Those ugly things you're going to get right here. You don't feel fear up here. You feel it right here. You don't feel chaos and drama up here. You feel it right here. Even if you're not in the middle of it, but that energy's in the room, you feel it. You'll feel it right here.
Right.
When somebody's into conflict and confrontation and attack, you feel it right here.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Love, you feel right here. Peace, you feel right here. Joy, you feel right here. Hope, you feel right here.
My God.
Right. Amen.
Peace, you feel right here.
Yes.
So if you're birthing it from here, you're not going to reap it from here. If you're birthing it from here, you're going to reap it from here. If you're birthing it from here, you're going to reap it from here.
Amen.
Do you see this? So we can't lead from here and expect the benefits of this up here. We can't sow chaos and drama and expect to benefit and reap peace, love, and joy.
Amen.
Do you see that? So understanding this and being conscious of it. Now get this, you can't make other people do it,
No.
but you can make yourself do it.
Amen.
Say, I'm going to walk out of love and not fear. I know I'll use the word narcissism, narcissist, sociopath, psychopath. And I know church people may not like those words being used, but an easier, simpler word that goes right along with it is the word witchcraft.
Amen.
See, a narcissist doesn't love themselves. A narcissist loves an image of themselves.
Come on.
It's not the same thing.
That's
A
right.
narcissist doesn't love who God has made them. They love what they think people think of them. It's not the same thing.
My God.
So a narcissist thrives on what people think of them. That's what fuels them. People's opinions, people's thoughts, compliments. It's the fuel that fuels a narcissist. And it's the same thing as a witch. A witch thrives on what people think of him or her. It's what fuels a witch.
My God.
So a witch is going to feed off of the fuel of what other people think and then control people or try to. And the word that we use is manipulate. They manipulate. Watch the manipulation, the string pulling. If you do this, then I will so-called love you. If you do this, I will like you. If you don't, I won't love you, I won't like you. See, that's witchcraft,
Yes. Yes, it is.
manipulation.
Right.
That's not how love works. Love, you just love. It's a strange concept for some of us, that you just love.
My God.
You love somebody not because they're perfect or flawless. You just love them.
Amen.
In fact, you love them in spite of their flaws.
Amen.
So when you're around somebody that can love you in spite of your flaws, what does that do? It frees you up to be who you are.
Amen.
My God.
And when I say who you are, I don't mean to be mean people. Like to say, well, they love me, so therefore I can be mean. Again, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Amen.
That's right.
You treat people right because it's the right thing to do.
My God.
But when somebody loves you like that, it frees you up as compared to a witch. And a witch isn't a gender. A male can be a witch.
Yes, sir.
But sometimes we don't even know it's happening. Some of you may not like this. Because we think, oh, I get it all, I see it all, I'm never fooled. Sometimes we don't even know we're being manipulated.
Amen.
Sometimes you go down and they liken it to like a fish net. And there's different forms of fish nets. But the fish doesn't even know that they're swimming into a trap.
Come on.
But that's the whole idea of the net, is to capture as many fishes as it can. But sometimes we go swimming into this thing and we don't even realize. Let me say this. I'm going to speak to the females, the sisters. When you meet a man, or should I say Prince Charming,
Uh-oh.
the white horse, knight in shining armor. None of you know this? I guess I'm going to have to teach you a little bit.
Good.
Tower, hair coming down, climb up. You're me and you the only one that get it. The rest of them live in a different world. But when you meet a man, it should not be like this. Here he is, and from that day forward, it's like this. It's all downhill. It should get better, deeper, more mature as time goes on.
Amen.
You know why a lot of relationships don't work? This is why. Because the individuals introduce themselves as somebody they are not. They're not who they really are. Then in time, the real person comes out and they're like, whoa, I need to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Say, well, where's the love? Well, I fell in love with someone different. This isn't the person. It's not the same person. So people will portray themselves to be something they're not. But in time, it'll be revealed. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So what happens is all these great men, then if you want to find them, I'll tell you where you find them. You find them at 1 in the morning on Saturday night in Old Town Scottsdale. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. That's where they exist. They look good, they smell good, they got money, they got jewelry, they got cars, no. And they'll tell you everything you want to hear, sisters, ladies.
No thanks.
I think my mic's broken. They're not buying it. Not buying what I'm sounding.
All right. Go ahead.
But what happens after Saturday night? What comes next?
Morning.
Sunday morning. And Monday morning.
not the same person.
Mhm.
They portray something that they're not. The man of your dreams, that answer to your prayers. But it's a facade.
My God.
It's a facade. It's not real. It's not true. It's not genuine. It happens in reverse too. Men go out there, they're going to find
Amen.
that housewife. They're going to find that lady, that woman. They're going to find her out there. Does that sound judgmental?
Facts.
It's facts. And what is she trying to do? What is she trying to accomplish? What is the game here?
My God.
What is being used as bait? Can I use the word bait?
Yeah.
Baiting. Baiting. They throw the bait out and see who's going to bite. And see which fish are going to get captured by the net. And then decide, okay, this one, I'll try this one, this one, this one, the rest I'm throwing back. You didn't get that, huh?
Mm-mm.
Throw it back.
That's right.
I'm going to use a term, maybe some of you aren't going to like it, but you go look at a car, and you might be interested in a car. What do you do next?
Test drive.
You take it for a test drive. That went over your heads.
Mm-mm.
It's all right.
It's okay. They're so good. I'm in the wrong lane.
It's all right.
I'm glad. Prince Charming, knight in shining armor, climbing up the hair to the tower. No. It's a train wreck. It's gonna crash. It's chaos. It's drama.
Yes.
2 plus 2 is 4. Gravity. It's not the answer to your prayers.
My God.
Don't look for a flawless man. Don't look for a perfect man. Look for a genuine man.
Amen.
There you go.
And if he can't pray, you should just don't even capture the fish. They didn't like that one. Because see, here's what people think. Just get kind of close to what I want, and I can paint it. I can put rims on it. I could put a bass speaker in the trunk. Only me and you are going to get that one. Just get close, and I'll make that man what I want him to be.
Right.
Or I'll make that woman what I want her to be. Trouble. That's trouble.
Amen.
One of the hardest things you will ever do in your life is trying to make somebody do something.
Yep.
That's it. Praise.
How much easier would it be if they knew how to get on their knees?
Amen.
And God told them what to do. How much easier God spoke to me. Told me to hold my peace.
Amen.
God spoke to me and told me to walk out of love. How much easier would that be than capturing a fish at 1 in the morning on the streets and trying to turn it into a marlin? I'm helping you here. I'm your friend.
Amen.
You could try it the other way. I'm pausing because I've seen it. If I say 100 times, it would be way falling low. I've seen it hundreds of times. Hundreds. Let me tell you this. Life's a big enough fight as it is. Instead of getting into a fight or a challenge or trying to manipulate someone to be what you want them to be.
Come on.
One of the best successful relationship you can have is the ability to have a relationship with somebody that they can be who they are and you can be who you are. Some of you got on that one. What we call that is love.
Yes.
Amen.
I got to hurry up because I want to go through some scriptures. But see, they don't know the knight in shining armor. They don't know Prince Charming, but they should know running through the daisies out here. Right? Fireworks in the sky going off. When you look at them, there's a mist like a fog. See, that's what you're told. That's what we're sold, a bill of goods. But you know what love is? The ability to be who you are and the ability for that person to be who they are. And you root for each other.
Amen.
You celebrate each other's victories and you mourn each other's losses. What a strange concept. Strange concept, but it's a concept I would want in my life. Why would anyone want to be with somebody that roots against them?
Come on.
Why would anyone want to be with somebody that sabotages their life? Why would anyone want to be with somebody that hopes for the worst for them? Doesn't make sense. Instead of being with somebody that loves you, you love them, you root for each other, you celebrate each other's victories, you mourn each other's losses. You hold each other up in prayer. Again, a strange concept. And I know how this works. Maybe there's a couple of you that will listen and say, okay, I'm in. I'm walking that route. But I know most people, they're going to try and do it a different way, which is not a different way. It's what Jesus told Saul, Apostle Paul. It is hard to kick against the pricks. It's hard. Let me say it this way. I've said it before. We're going to go to some scriptures. But it's better to be single, desiring to be married, than being married, desiring to be single.
Amen.
They didn't get that one either, Brother Dan. I'm just falling flat here. I need to change my language. You know why? Because people don't like to hear that. They want to go to the movies and see the dream come true and then act it out. You've got mail. They got that one. Fine. They knew what that one meant. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 25. Now I want us to look at something. This is talking about the parable of the talents. Matthew 25 and 24. The parable of the talents. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're going to jump in towards, there was 3 servants, and 2 of them did the right thing. But the third one is the one that received 1 talent. It says, then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man. I'm pausing there because you'll hear people say the Lord is hard. And you'll hear people say that serving the Lord is hard. This is one of those non-scripture scriptures. You say, well, it says it right there. No. The wicked servant says that he's hard. The Lord didn't say he's hard. The wicked servant said that he's hard. Do you see that? I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. Verse 25. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there is thou hast, that is thine. Do you see? He said that he was hard, and he said he was afraid. This is talking. Let's go to the next verse so you can see. His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked, and slothful. Those are some dangerous words right there, people. Wicked and slothful. Everyone know what slothful is?
Mm-hmm.
It's lazy. So he's saying, you're wicked. What would be a term that goes with witch? Wicked witch, right? Nobody's ever heard that one either? The wicked witch. I think that goes back to 1938, so come on. Wicked witch. Wicked and slothful. Wicked and lazy. Thou knewest that I reap where I sow not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. In other words, you should at least got interest on what I gave you. Take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which has 10 talents. I can't go into depth there, but it's like giving it to the one that has done the most. For unto every one that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. See, he was afraid not of that. He was just afraid. And he was slothful. And he was wicked. This was the end result of it. Prior to that, the other two, the Lord said, well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done, my good and faithful servant. See, but what is the difference here? The wicked, slothful servant said that he was hard. And what was he walking from? Remember I told you, you're going to do it from one or two places. It's going to be either out of love or out of fear. But he came out and said, I was afraid. He's saying, I'm not walking out of love. I'm walking out of fear. The other two doubled what was given to them. We're going to finish up with the same scripture we finished up last week. But let me sit here for a minute. The other two servants doubled what the Lord gave them. Every single one of you have something the Lord put into you. Every one of you. The term here is talent. But we use the word talent as like the ability to sing and to act or do these things, but that's part of it. But there's different forms of what the Lord birthed into you, that he planted into you. Now it's what you do with what you have, not comparing what you have to other people. That's not what you do. You just say, this is what I have. And I'm gonna put this into his kingdom. Whatever that is. Whatever your calling is, whatever your gift is, whatever your ability is, that you put it into the kingdom. You know how you know what that is? It's natural to you. And natural, I don't mean carnal. I mean, it comes to you with an easiness. Because God birthed it in you. When you try and do something that is not the way you're wired, it's hard, it's difficult. But when somebody walks in that calling they have, and you look and it says, you make that look easy.
It's because it's their gift.
Because it's a gift.
Thank you, Jesus.
Now, when you have it, you don't know any different because that's what you know how to do. But someone else will look and say, man, how do you do that? Like when Minister Such paints, or you see one of his painting, I look and I say, I can't do that. Hard wouldn't even come close to me. It wouldn't even be enough to explain that if he gave me a painting and said, I want you to duplicate it, not create it from but just duplicate what I did. If I took one of his paintings and I took 1,000 canvases and laid them out and started every day to duplicate. Okay, it didn't work. Throw that one out. Go to the next one and keep trying until I leave this earth. I'd still never get it. Do you follow that? Do you get that? I could never do it. Both of you could pull up a canvas or some form of something to paint on, and maybe within an hour you can have something created. Am I right? Right? In an hour, or his son. But you could come up with something. But both of them can come up with something. Creative, to use the word create. That's not what I'm wired to do. I don't have that. But what I do have, I need to know what that is. And to me, understanding that is a big part of it. But not just understanding it, putting it out there and using it.
Yeah, that's it, right there.
I'm pausing because I want you to chew on that. Because all of you have something. One had 5, one had 2, and one had 1. But they all had something. You all have something. And the thing is not comparing the 5, the 2, and the 1. It's just taking whatever that you have and putting it back in there. Putting it back out there.
Amen.
Not hiding it. But the wicked, slothful one didn't do it because he was afraid. See, fear will paralyze you.
Yes, sir.
Fear will paralyze you. People will hurt us, and it will give us fear, so we won't engage lest we get hurt again. And it paralyzes us.
I got it.
The question is not, have people hurt you? We already know the answer. People have hurt you. People have hurt me. That's not the question. The question is, will I keep putting my talents out there? Will I get back on the horse? Will I get back in the game? And understand, yes, people may have hurt you. People may have hurt me. But it's what I do from here that I don't walk in fear, but I continue to walk in love. Let me say it this way. Because somebody did me wrong, is it right for me to take it out on Brother Dan?
No. Yes, sir.
Because someone before him did something, so now he pays the price? Does that sound right?
No.
Do you think it happens?
Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time. Someone hurts somebody and they transfer whatever they did to the next person. And it just keeps compounding. Instead of each person is a different person.
I got it.
Right?
Man.
But we don't like that, huh?
Come on.
It's all right.
I'm smart, I'm wise. I see things, I know things. Yeah, live in a wall, a cell block wall that just covers us up. And we guard our hearts to extreme, and we never engage. We never engage. Why don't we engage? Lest we get hurt. Well, guess what? then you're hurt. You never get to experience the benefits.
My God.
The reason it hurts is because there was something there. Now, I'm not talking about being abused and manipulated and controlled by a witch. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people being people and things happening. And the ability to turn the page. And the ability to say, I'm going to continue to love.
Yeah.
1 John chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love.
Lord.
We could just stop right there because that says so much. There is no fear in love.
That's right.
So where there's love, there's no fear.
Come on.
But perfect love, it chases away fear. Complete love, it pushes fear out. Because fear hath torment. That's another powerful word, torment.
Amen.
There's a lot of people that you know that are tormented. They're tormented.
Yes.
You know what they're tormented with? They're tormented with fear.
That's right.
So the last thing they need is more fear. What they need is love.
Yes.
My God.
That's what they need. I know I use animals a lot, but so you take a kitten or a cat, and if they've been mistreated, they have fear. And it's difficult to reach a kitten or a cat that's been mistreated. But if you begin to show some love, affection to that cat, it can start to leave that fear and start to accept that affection. When they have fear, their claws come out. When they have fear, they make hiss noise. They'll run. They'll put their backs up. When they don't, they relax. There's no claws out. And if you really reach them, they begin to purr. And I say people are not much different. People are not much different. You mistreat somebody, their claws come out. Their back goes up. They'll show their teeth. But you begin to love them, they begin to relax. And hopefully accept that. And let love come in. Ever since I was a child, I've always been that way with look at animals and stray animals, and you see them out in the street, and for me, some people say, they don't, it doesn't matter. But I have empathy, I have sympathy. If a cat runs across the street, I'm braking. Some people, they won't brake. I'm going to brake. I'm putting the brakes. I'm not running them over. And I might see a stray cat. If I have something, I'll give them food or whatever. But I'll think about them. Say, well, what about people? Even more so. And I'm finished now. I'm ministering. Sometimes you see parents at the store with a child, and you can tell that child just walking in fear. That child being scolded and just they're an inconvenience to the parents or to the parent. You just look and say, man, a little child has, they don't know any different because it's their normal. But there they are, walking in fear, being afraid, maybe looking up and dreaming of having that toy or having a tree or something like that. And it breaks my heart. Get over here. Stop that. And you can tell. And for me, I'll have empathy. And some of the news stories I don't even want to hear. Because it doesn't even make sense to me. When a mother or a father mistreats their child, makes no sense to my mind, makes no sense to my heart. Doesn't make sense. I know my children are going to go through pain. I know my children are going to go through hard times. But I don't want to be the cause of it. I don't want to be the one that hurts them. I don't want to be the one that breaks their heart. I don't want to be a source of fear and being afraid. But it doesn't make sense to me when I hear certain things. I'm like, that doesn't even compute in my head. It should be just a natural. We don't even need to know God to love our children. And some people say, no, that's not true. There should be something just in our DNA to love our own. Right? But then getting out beyond that and loving somebody that's not our DNA. Loving someone that's not our DNA. Loving somebody that we may not totally know. And reaching out there further. And let me say this as I wrap this up. You know what says a lot about me and what says a lot about you? How do you treat children? How do you treat them? It says a lot about us. I was thinking about this last night. And it's always been that the most important part of the ministry of the church is this, me standing up here speaking to the adults. And that's the most important part. And I begin to think, you know what may be even more important than me standing here speaking to you? Is whoever's in that room back there teaching them children right now. That may be even bigger than this. Because what goes on back there is changing lives. Well, what about this? You know what the difference is here and in there? Them children, the clay's still super soft and moldable. In here, there's a lot of hardened clay. And it's hard to put your hands on it. Some people have to be broken up into pieces and melted down and started over. But a child's not that way. To you, this just may be another Sunday. But to the children in there, they may remember this Sunday 30 years from now and pull something from it. The way we treat the children as individuals, it says so much about who we are. At least be conscientious of it. As the children come up here at usually the last song, can I say it's cute? Can I say it's cute?
It's very cute.
In need or whatever. But I understand something. It's impacting their life powerfully, and I know it. It's not a joke. It's not playing. It's a form of playing, yes. But a little boy might pretend or play to be a fireman and grow up and be a fireman, right? But it's impacting their lives.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
If you know it or not, every one of you are impacting these little ones. Every one.
Yes.
If you know it or not. I'm going to get out of here. But you know what children will remember? Those that treated them well. And you know what else they'll remember? The ones that mistreated them.
Yeah.
And one day that little child will no longer be a child. They'll be a grown adult, and they may run into one of us, and they'll remember vividly how you treated them. They'll remember how you made them feel, whatever that might be. That should mean something to you. You should be like, that's important. And I should care. Team, can you come forward? Let me say this way. When a child sees you, do you bring fear or do you bring love? Now, I know there needs to be order. I know there needs to be structure. There needs to be discipline. But you know what I say to that? It works the same as it does with adults. This is how it works. You have to make deposits in order to make withdrawals. In order to correct and discipline, you must have sowed into them already.
Yes.
What's the ratio? 5 deposits for 1 withdrawal. Do you see that? Did you get that? If you haven't sowed and made deposits, then you can't discipline. You can't do it. You can say, yeah, I can. But see, what you'll do is just bring fear. But when you make deposits, you can make withdrawals. You see that? I can see Sister Maria out there with the kids from here. So I kind of have it easy this way. When a child needs to be corrected, I'll just call her. Say, hey kid, even my own DNA nephews, I'll call her. Because I already know she's, not that I don't deposit in their life, but she's constantly, that's what she does with, the majority of her waking hours is sowing into children. That's the majority of her waking hours, all over the place. That's what she does. And you know why? Because it's work to her? No, that's a talent. It's a gift. It's in her. And she sows that. So I'll say, hey, my nephew's throwing things off the balcony, or I guess you don't know what that means, but doing all that stuff, and I'm like, hey, but she sows, she makes deposits, she can make withdrawals. You guys ready? You got this? In love, not fear.
Not fear.
Where's little Vicky?
We're waiting.
She's teaching.
She's teaching.
What do you guys have?
Great are you, Lord.
What we want, and I try to the best of my ability, is to lead out of love. And I hope that's what you get. Not fear, being afraid. I'm gonna start throwing things around here. Right? It's important. It's important because that all of us have that. Not that we don't have our bad days, because we are. Can't say bad. We're gonna have difficult, challenging days, but that's part of the challenge. So, as I get out of here, this is how it is. From the back to the front, all over this church, that we walk out of love, not fear. And we won't be that slothful, wicked servant that says, I was afraid. No, we do it out of love. Let's all stand.
May we bless the Lord for the word today. Hallelujah.